Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and I am designing a layout for Hip Kit Club today using the October 2021 kits. I'm using the main kit only actually and I am using an exclusive cut file as well. So I started off by cutting the spiderweb cut file, which is an October 2021 exclusive cut file that should be on the website very soon if it's not there already. I have cut it 3 times. Once from the bats paper, the pink bats, once from the purple cardstock in the kit, and once from the black skulls paper. I'm going to offset those to give them a shadow effect. Okay, so I'm currently just distressing the edges of my white cardstock. I've gone for a white cardstock background. I'm going to use a border. That's the black skulls paper, but the other side. I'm just going to distress the edges of my white cardstock a bit further by applying some black ink. I'm applying the ink around the edges of the cardstock and specifically in the corners, a bit more around the edges, not just on the very edge, but within the edges a little bit more as well, just to make the cardstock look a bit dirty and spooky and a bit, distressed. So it certainly ends up looking distressed, really going for it in the corners mostly and trying to bring that ink or that staining in from the edges as well. So distressing the edges a little bit further, and I'm going to just assemble that in a moment. For my cut files, as I say, I cut it 3 times, same size, 3 times from 3 different sheets. And I'm going to stick those on top of each other, just slightly offset, and this creates a shadow effect. So I've just taken the pink one, that's the one that's going on the top, and then underneath I'm sticking the purple one from the cardstock kit, just to give that a little shadow. And then I'm going to come in with the black one as well and offset that in the other direction so that I have this kind of 3-toned spiderweb. I love how it looks. I think it's such a clever effect to use, and so easy as well. It couldn't be easier to do that. So effective. Okay, so it's going to go on my background. I'm just going to assemble my background, get it all stuck in place so I can start actually attaching things to the layout and building it up. Fortunately, my tape gun runs out just as I pick it up to use it. Just quickly going to change that role and get back into business in just a moment. I'm pretty quick at it, so it's okay. There we go, back in business. Okay, so I am just going to assemble that piece of cardstock onto the border there and distress the edges further, fold them up a little bit. And then I've got my spider web, and I decided to add a little bit of ink underneath the spider web as well, because whenever you have a cut file and you place it on top of some ink, it always looks really cool, doesn't it? So I thought I would do that. And I haven't done anything special, just literally applied the ink to the page in a kind of circular-ish motion. Doesn't look very good the way I've done it, but once you put the web over the top, it looks great. It just kind of creates a glow, and I really like how that looks. So I've just done that. I've stuck the spider web flat in the middle, and then I've just put some foam pads on the inner circle of the spider web, just to make sure that it will stand proud on the layout. I've actually anchored it slightly towards the top of the layout rather than in the middle, I'm now just going to start doing everything else. So I've been through the ephemera already, the exclusive ephemera in the main kit, and there's a number of Halloween style things and bits and pieces in there. So I've just pulled out all the ones that I think will work. I've got some pumpkins, I've got a pumpkin with a face, I've got the October 31st sign, I've got the haunted house, and I've got a witch's hat, and a ghost. So they're all the things that I've pulled out that I think will work well for this layout. I also really like the pink bats, so I'm going to fussy cut a number of those out as well and use those as additional embellishments on the layout, but I won't do all of those on screen. The other thing I want to do is possibly use those wood veneer leaves. Now these are gorgeous. They have, not all of them, but most of them have gold foiling on, and they're so pretty. But I needed them to be spookier than what they are, so I couldn't bear to use the ones that have the gold on because I want to save those and use them elsewhere. But these ones were plain. They didn't have any gold detailing on, so I didn't feel as bad ruining them. But I have just pulled out my Versamark ink pad, the some black embossing powder, and I am going to heat emboss these wood veneer pieces with this black glittery heat embossing powder that I've had for like 500 years, and it will never go. It will never be finished. I don't do it often enough, but it is a really nice powder. I don't know what it's called, but it's a really nice one, and it's got glitter in it as well. So not only is it black, but it's also sparkly. So that's totally awesome in my book. Now I'm trying to heat emboss these, and they are moving around all over the place. It's really quite amusing to watch them run around. So I turned off the camera, I fussy cut the bats, and I heat embossed the leaves, and I did that by holding them still with a paper piercing tool. Obviously I couldn't hold them still with my finger because I would have burnt my finger. I held them still with a paper piercing tool, and that way I was able to heat emboss them without them blowing off of the mat. Now you would have thought that as they were stickers they would have stayed put, but I'd got some embossing powder on the back too, so they'd lost their sticky. Okay, so I'm using 2 Snapchat photos today. They are of me and my daughter, or one of them is just my daughter. Snapchat filters for Halloween. We love them. They're so awesome. I have just mounted both of those photos onto different colours. So I've mounted one on the skulls paper and one on the purple cardstock. They're just the offcuts left over from the sheets I used to do the cut files. I'm just going to offset those against each other and stick those over on the right-hand side of the spiderweb. I'm thinking that I'm going to have a cluster on the bottom left of the spiderweb too. But in the end, things change, and I end up having everything clustered over on the right-hand side. Love my spooky leaves. They turned out way better than I even thought they would. So I've just clustered those around the side, and I have that little ghost there. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with him. He doesn't quite look right where he is right now. But I'm going to move him in a moment to poke at the top of my photos, and that works really well. But I have all those other pieces of ephemera that I want to try to use on this layout if I can, and all the fussy cut bats as well, of course. So I'm just having a play with the arrangement and looking to see how I can make this all look a bit coherent. I'm thinking that what I've ended up with is a vertical line, if you like, of embellishments from top to bottom over on the right-hand side. So obviously I have the big spider web in the middle, but everything else is kind of cascading vertically down the page to end with that witch's hat. And I've got the pumpkin face next to the haunted house, and then I have the Boo title, which is one of the chipboard titles from the kit, from the main kit, and that's obviously perfect for the layout. And now I just really need to kind of stick everything down. I'm happy with how it's all looking, and I just need to get everything stuck in place. Of course, I've laid everything onto the layout, nothing is stuck, and then in order to get everything stuck down, I have to kind of move everything, which is a little annoying, and I didn't want to lose the arrangement. So I'm just starting from the bottom and taking each piece at a time, adding some adhesive and some foam pads, and getting things stuck in place. The leaves need to be stuck down with glossy accents because they lost all their sticky because the embossing powder stuck to the sticky parts of the stickers. So I've just secured those in place with glossy accents, and now they won't go anywhere, which is good. Okay, so everything's stuck down now. I've also done a bit of machine stitching. So I've gone for black machine stitching, of course, being the most spooky. I have zigzag stitched down the left-hand sides of both of my photos. That will, one, keep them in place, but two, also kind of reminds me of scars and stitching on scars, that kind of thing. So I just thought that was cool, so I thought I would do that. And then over on the left-hand side of the page as well, right on the very edge, I just kind of mimic that. So I had 3 areas of that, which is something I wanted to do. And then just finishing off with some punched black stars from the skulls paper and a few splatters of ink from a bottle of ink that I have, Indian ink it's called. It's really very, very black and excellent ink. So just a few droppers of that, plus also I added little splatters with my paintbrush. And that's it. That's me completely finished. I love how this layout turned out, and it's amazing how you can make such a spooky looking layout without a huge amount of supplies. So yeah, all looking good. Look at those leaves. They are so awesome. And the exclusive ephemera, of course, makes everything super duper easy. Yeah. Okay, so don't forget that if you are a Hip Kit Club subscriber, you get the main kit at a reduced price. You also get 15% discount on all the add-on kits, and you get access to exclusive subscriber cut files like the one I used today. Okay, so thank you so very much for joining me today. That was Nikki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.